Well, yesterday I had one of the biggest struggles and challenges I've ever had in my young diaconate ministry. I had to prepare and practice a homily during an LSU football game. Horrible, horrible thing to have to endure. I want you guys to know, though, that I love y'all more than an LSU football game. So, speaking of football, the year was 1995. I was with my team, obviously, was in the semifinals of the Greenwood Middle School 5th grade flag football championship game. And I was slow and non-athletic and not very agile. And so they put me rushing the quarterback because that's what slow, non-athletic, agile people do. And so the ball was hiked. The quarterback, being a much faster person than I am, eluded me pretty well, but I, being me, would not give up on the play. And so he got towards the sidelines, and he went and he cocked his arm back to throw the ball, and I lunged towards his flag. And the next thing I know, I'm rolling on the ground, and miraculously, I look in my hand, the flag was there. I had sacked the quarterback. Immediately, I got up, I showed the flag to the ref, and I winked at the cute girl I was crushing on at the time. And at that moment, I felt 10 feet tall and bulletproof. I felt all the pride, all the immensity. I had saved the day. I had won the play. I had sacked the quarterback all by myself. And I would be a legend to this day in Greenwood Middle School history if it wasn't for the very next play where I dropped the winning touchdown pass. You see, sometimes immense pride is often followed by humiliation. In our gospel today, or actually in the past couple of weeks, we've seen prideful things, good things happen, followed immediately by not so good things. Yes, last week, Jesus would ask the question, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter, in his ineffable wisdom, "You are the Christ." Bingo, Yahtzee, advance to go, collect $200. The right answer, awesomeness, great, wonderful. And then the next thing you know, I'm going to suffer and die on the cross for you guys. No, Jesus, you can't do that. Get behind me, Satan. Immense pride followed by humiliation. This week, the same thing. I'm going to suffer and die on the cross. Well, we're not going to make that a mistake again. We're not going to say, no, you can't do that to us. We're just going to remain silent. And then I'm going to teach you all these wonderful, great things. And then what do? They argue amongst themselves how great they are. How great. Who did the greatest miracles? Who did the greatest works? Oh, no, I cured this many people. Oh, no, I exorcised this many demons. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I'm the most wonderful. But instead of just rebuking them, as he did a couple chapters earlier, Jesus uses a special teaching technique here. Puts a child in their midst. And I think we all know that a child, we can get the gist of this, Be simpler, disciples, live simpler lives. There's something deeper here. You see, the child in that time, we have all these child protection laws nowadays. We reverence children because we see them as our future. That time, children, they were practically worthless in the ancient culture. But also, they had no power, no authority. They had no accomplishments. No one ruled. They didn't rule over anyone. They were just children. And for the most part, they were reliant upon their parents for everything. Their parents fed them. Their parents clothed them. Their parents gave them shelter. Their parents raised them up. And so what he's telling his disciples here is not just be more simpler, but rely on me. Rely on the way to go. Are we going to argue about who is the greatest? Or are you going to follow me to the cross? Because that's what he's predicting. This is the second prediction. That's what he's predicting. Who are we going to do? Jesus is conveying, stop murmuring about your greatness and start realizing what is about to happen to me. And ultimately, what is about to happen to you. One of my favorite movies, big movie buff if y'all don't know that, is a movie called Coach Carter. It came out in the 2000s. Samuel Jackson's the starring character. The movie's about this coach who takes this losing football team and he makes them into winners. And after they get some confidence and they start winning one game after another, they face this inferior team. And this inferior team, is obviously playing bad, and they're playing great and things like that. But instead of just playing the team outright, they start to ridicule the other players. They start to dog the other players. They start to see themselves as more than just a competitive team that's playing this other team, but they need to see themselves as something they need to get more. They need to rub it in, so to speak. And that's what really all these three readings are talking about here. All these three readings are talking about the same thing, original sin. Let's look in wisdom. Let us test him with insult and torture, so that we may find out how gentle he is and make trial of his forbearance. Every time I read that, I think I'm one of the witches in Macbeth, Let us test him and see how far he can go. And then in the gospel, we hear about who is the greatest. I am better than you. I am better than you. I did this. I did this. I did this. And then James just right out asks the question, those conflicts and disputes among you, where do they come from? They come from original sin. It's the same thing. Adam and Eve, very simply. No, God. She told me to eat the apple. No, God. The snake made me do it. It's the blame game. Instead of loving one another, instead of building each other up, they're going to try to put the blame on someone else. It's over and over again in our human history, and that's part of the distortion of what's happened to us, in a sense, is that we are still affected by original sin. We're still competitive towards one another. We're still looking to be greater than our fellow man. But Jesus offers us something different. He offers us something deep inside of ourselves that can combat that. He offers love. That is what the cross is. It is love. It's not just something of purgation or something to filter out certain things or something to help us along the way, suffering just for suffering's sake. No, it is love. The cross is love. The way of the cross is for love. It is Jesus' love for us, which should be infectious, just as infectious as original sin is infectious. And so we need to tap into that love. That is how we combat original sin, only through love. And so as I finish here, I'd like to ask a few questions that brings us to an important part of our faith. Are we ready to follow the Lord to the cross? Are we stuck in the mindset of the apostles of just building an earthly kingdom, building my own legacy? Are we ready to suffer and die with the Lord? Or we just see faith as something that makes us feel good? Do we come to church to be better people? Or do we come to church just to hear a good message? Just to be about a feel-good theology? Remember, Christianity is just as much about the cross as it is about the resurrection. And finally, are we ready to embrace love and charity in our hearts and throw away original sin forever? Because that's what Jesus came to do. That's what Jesus came to die for. And so remember that we can only have this happen if we follow Christ to the cross. Because only through the cross is our resurrection.